Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
Absolutely impossible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust, we got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to E-Series. And it's time to get underway for round 4. Now, a little bit of a change in the commentators' booth, as you can see. Instead of Nathan Richards starting you off, it's myself starting you off, and join with me in the booth. It's the one and only, coming straight out of the F tiers in PSGL. It's Omi. How are we doing, my friend?
Hello, Corey. Hello, everyone. Doing very, very well. And excited for double the action of PSGL, as I was doing the F2 yesterday, as you mentioned. And now back here with some of the drivers who are also competing in that, here for E-Series around Spa. Going to be interesting.
Absolutely, like you said, we are heading over to Spa-Francorchamps with its 7-kilometre long circuit. Very long lap times and 19 turns to navigate. 2 DRS zones to use for the chance to overtake. And of course, look at those elevation changes as you get up towards Le Combes off that Kemmel Straight. You're back up to the top and back down the hill, coming down to No Name, all the way down to the famous Pouan Corner, where we saw Lewis Hamilton flat to the floor, powering around there on one of the most beautiful qualifying laps you have ever seen. Now, we are going to take a quick little look at the drivers' lineup, but all the standings and stuff like that I'll leave just to the lobby restart to introduce a little bit of spiciness so you can anticipate what's going to happen. What I can tell you is there has been quite a big change in the order in the standings, but here is your driver lineup for tonight, heading into Spa-Francorchamps. For the Red Bulls, we have Kian Gordon-Dorp and Ulysses Ildrim once again in the Williams. Nelson Alves and Mathis van Erven. Alvaro Caraton took the win last time out on the track for Williams, but after Stewart's reports ended up falling down to P5, which also had a massive effect in the ending race result. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the lobby restart later on after qualifying. Reece Linton and Julian Klappenbach in R8G, with Stephen Vassar and Rez Imtiaz in Venturi Alpine. Danny Berezne, Piotr Stachulek, Danny Berezne will be serving qualifying van here tonight after a qualifying incident last time out in Mexico between Otis Lawrence and Cameron Dowds. Philip Prejneda and Jack West in McLaren Shadow, but Barry Berman sees his return to E-Series, lining himself up once again with Angelo Di Hortensio. I haven't seen this duo since round 2, and they were mighty powerful indeed. Diego Zorzo and Max Grospointner in FBR, and of course in Veloci, you have Tony Hatala and Pascal Ranelli. So there are 2 drivers potentially looking to charge up through the field and help Veloci along. They are your Season 5 champions after all, but struggling here and now. And finally, in Future Racing Team, Liam Stevens and Campbell Adams. So an interesting lineup for us here tonight, Omi. Some drivers you may be familiar with that you've seen in the tier section of PSGL, but now in E-Series, this is where things are all about that high-level competition. Again, there's a prize pot to play for here.
There is so much on the line here in E-Series, and a big responsibility for those drivers as they all get selected in terms of course, every team having a talent pool, and then they're all selected and they've been put in. And yeah, the Ferrari lineup definitely looking very, very strong. So looking forward to see how they get on, but at the same time, if anyone can beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, qualifying 1 is about to get underway, as already Danny Berezne has took his retirement and will not be doing his qualifying at all. Will be the first driver out in qualifying 1. But before we go any further, let's have a quick little word from the people that have made this possible over at SRC. And you are now joining us on the track. Now, You see the drivers out doing their intermediate runs, trying to crucially save those tyres for later on. Just getting a feel for the track. Now, no doubt they will not set any times. They'll be diving back into the pits, but just to get everything dialed in, check their equipment's working before they risk using those soft compounded tyres. But of course, we had that nice little stint from Sim Racing Centre, and with them, of course, you can always experience excellence. So make sure you head over to Sim Racing Centre, the people that have made this season 6 of E-Series possible for your viewing pleasure. Nevertheless, Nelson Alves, I think he's going to take us away with a lap.
Will indeed, on the intermediate compound of tyre, so nothing fast at the moment, but navigating a circuit which, even if it's not at full pelt, which he'll be hoping to go in Q3 if he can progress through this Q1 and Q2 part of the session, but it's still one of those great circuits as he goes through Rouge and Radion. And it will be interesting to see what Nelson Alves can do. A driver who was competing earlier this season around this circuit in PCF2. Unfortunately, did not have the race day that he would have wanted at all, as it was 20th in qualifying and a retirement when it came to the race for him in that championship. No pace at all for him when it came to that, but he's hopefully better prepared for this E-Series event, which is why he's been put in, and hopefully he's going to be able to take Williams to a good result by the end of today.
Absolutely. Now, Williams have got some good points on the board. They are looking at potentially striking for the top 3 if it shall be. They need a good points finish out of the next few rounds, but they are sat in 6th at the minute on 80 points, only 5 points away from that P4 position in the standings, so they're in a good position here. It's better than what we've seen in previous seasons in PSGL. They've struggled, but now they certainly have brought some drivers to help them along and score some crucial points in the opening few rounds. As we look on to Nelson Alves, as he is, of course, setting the purple sectors for now on those intermediate tyres. He maybe boxes slap or maybe he'll cross the line and give us something to talk about, but I suspect he'll be going into the pits and will not cross the line to set the time, because you don't have a lot of time here in Belgium. I know it's easy to say that, but if you want to maximise your line, well, he's going to set the lap, never mind. He is going to push on the intermediate tyres. I know they're trying to tyre save, but it's a very long lap, so you really want to try and save as much time as possible to get a good lap in.
Yeah, because you, of course, have to now deal with this in-lap that the drivers will be going through, like Alves, like Clinton, the two who have come across the line. Already 13 minutes and 30 seconds to go in this session. So now the ones who don't come into the pit lane will need to now go round once again. And that will cost them a little bit of time. Still, they'll find themselves in a good position. But so many times, Corey, we've seen in these Q1 sessions where you can sometimes get surprises, you can get shocks, and that can just be due to leaving it late and not having a good banker lap before that as well to be able to take that risk. So it's a risk versus reward stuff, basically, in this type of session here in Q1.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to pan out in terms of the tyres as well. Are they going to use that used set from qualifying 1 in Q2 for their opening banker laps? And how is that going to fare on the pace deficit? How much time are they actually going to lose? Again, it is a very long lap, and the tyre degradation in this F125 game cycle has been absolutely abysmal. The dirty air does not add to that factor, especially when all the cars are in a train just trying to follow along. There's no places to overtake, so even with that Camel Straight, I really reckon that is the only place you're going to see any moves happening. He's down that Camel Straight. It's just with its 1 kilometre in length, 1 kilometre of DRS aided power after you come to the top of the hill, already at high speeds, flat to the floor, out of Eau Rouge and Radion. It's the only place you're really going to be able to make any moves is with the extra top speed.
Yeah, and you can get caught up, of course, in those DRS trains. If it is dry, if it is wet, then an even harder question mark as well, navigating this circuit, and then also trying to force some overtakes as well. So it can always get quite interesting around the circuit, can get quite challenging, but we've had quite a bit of drama this season. So let's see how this one is going to go around a circuit which usually can promote a bit of drama in PSGL with what we've seen over the seasons as well. Everyone returning back to the pit lane, of course, as they get through this opening phase on the intermediate compound of tyre. And Stefan absolutely going for it. Stefan Vasso making his way through, drifting it all around, and then he can finally return it back into the pit lane and then prepare for the proper stuff coming up in the final 10 minutes of this session.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, Danny Berezne will be starting P20 back of the grid, facing this qualifying ban. But it's now only 4 drivers that see themselves under some potential pressure. Now, which 4 drivers is it going to be? I've noticed it seems to be a bit track dependent on where the pace is coming from for some of these drivers. You have some little unknowns coming at you from out of nowhere, just up the field and attacking. Drivers like Julian Klappenbach from last time out, that 2-3 finish for them after Stewart's reports with Joris Krozen as well. It's just some drivers you don't expect to be there, some drivers just appear out of nowhere and put the challenge on those front runners. Of course, without Alpine's Otis Lawrence, it's for Berezny to try and claw back through that field, and Piot is just going to try and help him along all the way.
Yeah, Alpine, of course, the team able to pick up the win when it came to our second round of the season at Interlagos. We've had, of course, our season opener at Australia. Then at Interlagos, we went for round 2. And then Mexico City for round 3, which had quite a dramatic conclusion, which we already talked you through. And we've now got cars making their way back on this circuit as they continue their attack around this venue in a few moments' time and try and find the lap time. A few possible parts of the circuit where when you are pushing to such a limit, you can possibly lose the lap time due to track limits. They'll all be trying to avoid that one as they try and get a good lap time to start off with, and then they'll focus on trying to just build from there when it comes to their run at the end of the session. But that's when it's high pressure stuff. That is when you could be going into Q2 or possibly being eliminated from it, and it usually comes down to thousandths of a second.
Yeah, it certainly does. It could come down to thousandths of a second here in Spa. It's so many corners come at you, and there are tricky corners, especially when you come into Lacombe. You've got the gravel traps left, right, and centre. Just anywhere you can slow you down, as well as you come down here into at the end of sector 2, which we see Piotr Stachulek do so, coming through into Campos and Stavolo. These corners 13 and 14, the gravel traps are everywhere, especially coming on the exit of 14. There's another gravel trap, slows you down, hinders your momentum and your speed, and you lose tenths at this point. So you can't risk any sort of deviation from the line. The lap has got to be perfect. One mistake can cost you a huge amount of time.
Really can, and that's exactly what we're about to witness in a few moments' time as the drivers now get ready to push on. So this opening run going to be vital. We will be losing 4 drivers from this session, of course. We have Danny Berezny, he'll be going, so 5 in total, but 4 will be gone in terms of the drivers who are actually in this session competing as well. So there's going to be more opportunities. An extra driver will be able to get through with relief, but who's it going to be? It's always quite close when it comes to the end of these lap times, so it's time to find out. But here we go then, drivers backing off in the final sector as they prepare for the lap, some already on those flying laps.
Yeah, we are on board with Piotr Stachulek, who's the first driver on the soft tyres to give us this opening flyer lap, this banker lap, as you could say, as it is the first time lap on the softs. Although we've seen some intermediate runs, 45.969 by Reese Linton to be the fastest on those inters. Now's where the time starts to drop. Qualifying times as low as 1:40 coming your way, but here in qualifying 1, the banker laps are going to be crucial just to get yourself into a safe zone. As long as you're not in that bottom 4 drivers, you'll be feeling very comfortable in going into qualifying 2, but then it's all push into the second qualifying session to get into that 10 driver shootout in qualifying 3.
Yeah, absolutely. A point on offer for pole position as well. And in a series like this, every single point does matter. Stachulek now making his way down the back straight and about to head down into the Blanchiment complex, followed by the bus stop chicane. And once you've done that, you've navigated the entire venue and you finally can get a lap time on the board. So let's see how this one's going to be for Stachulek. We'll pick his braking point, we'll navigate his way through out of the chicane, we'll stand on the power, and we'll see what he has produced and what is the lap time for the rest of the field to be. 1:40.674 is the lap time that he has set. Let's see who's going to go ahead. It'll be Ozilderim now going to the top as well as he finds the time. So a good lap time coming in there for him.
Yeah, absolutely, Red Bull driver as well. Kian Gordondorp taking it ever quicker than his teammate Ulas Ozilderim. Those two have been working together very, very hard to score as many points possible for the Red Bull Sim Racing team. And they are within a good position right about now. They are in a good spot in the standings. So more about this later on. But being the fastest so far, still drivers yet to cross the line. The likes of Julian Klappenbach, as he's now about to hit that checkered flag, goes up into P7. Further behind, is that Campbell Adams? Yes, it is. Hits the line, goes up to P6 when Nelson Alves behind him into P7. And then here we see Angelo Di Ortenzio hit that checkered flag, goes up 40.4, getting Ferrari up there in the chances, where Barry Burman just falls behind. Look at that. Red Bull 1-2, Ferrari 3-4.
Looking interesting at the front of the field, isn't it? And Angelo Di Ortenzio, of course, new to that Ferrari team, recently signed on was Angelo Di Ortenzio, and he is always a driver to keep an eye on. He qualified on pole here in PCF2 earlier on in the season, ended the race in P6, him, and he's going to give himself a good opportunity. He's going to give himself a good opportunity to be a contender once again, but he's taken 4 poles in a row, Corey, in the F2 Championship, which is absolutely unheard of stuff. So he's always a driver to keep an eye on, and he's always good when it comes to one lap pace, and on this type of game, that can be the critical thing, where it is so hard to overtake, just nailing this qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Angelo Di Ortenzio as well, like you say, recently signing with that Ferrari team, had a beautiful run on his debut race, working with Barry Burman to try and score crucial points in this championship, but they have been surpassed by R8G, and now they come back looking to retake the lead of this championship that they left in good hands. It was just a bad round out for Ricardo Benzoni last time out in Mexico. He was the highest points finisher, only ending P9 for the Ferrari Esports team. But everybody set the laps so far. Ulas feels comfortable with that 40.4, and it's just over half a second from P1 down to P19, so still room for improvement for some drivers, the likes of Reyes Imtiaz as well. Being the slowest driver so far, he's going to certainly be looking to improve on that time, and Reese Linton's certainly going to be feeling a little bit of pressure as well. So these drivers at the minute have got the time to go again, but they don't want to be into that bottom 4. Where would you say the cut-off time is, Omi? I'd say, well, 40.7, and you're more than likely safe. Like a low 7 to Julian Klappenbach, would you say?
Yeah, possibly. Maybe in the 6 to just be safe as well. And that is already why we have seen Ozildirim for Red Bull retire. Because, of course, he feels that he is safe. And, yeah, the ones at the top should be safe. The rest of them, if you are finding yourself in the 0.7s, and then even if you're in the 0.6 and the lows of that, you might just want to go out there just to be safe. And that's exactly what Piotr Stauchilek is doing for the Alpine team. So he is finding himself going out onto the circuit. He will be the first one to lead us onto our final run of this Q1 session, and I'm sure he will be joined by lots of other drivers as they try and get through into the second part of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems that Piotr does not feel comfortable, even with that 40.6. He wants to go a little bit quicker just to secure that qualifying 2 position. He is there in P10, so 5 drivers yet could still go quicker than him, push him down into that 15, 16, 17 spot, which will see him out here of qualifying, have to sit and wait for the next 2 sessions to elapse before he gets back to the track and starts the race. But again, does not feel safe. There you see the top 5 as Angelo Di Ortenzio now joins the rest of the gang and retires. He feels safe so far with 2.5 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. Tony Atala has come out to improve on that lap, so there for the Veloce Academy, he's not feeling a little bit too shabby either. He doesn't feel comfortable and maybe potentially under threat, with Mathis van Urban has retired.
He has indeed. The driver in 7th position when it comes to this session has retired. Tony Hietala just going out there as well, so he is finding himself out there. Everyone else, of course, also pushing on as well, so you have everyone down from 8th who will be out there on the circuit trying to respond. As mentioned, we will be losing 4 drivers. We already know that Danny Berezne, due to the qualifying ban, will be starting all the way at the back. So it is over to the rest of them as they try and progress, and this is going to be Stauchilek pushing on then. He's got a 1 minute 40.674 at the moment. Let's see whether he can improve that just to ensure that he's completely in safety.
Yeah, absolutely. We are now on board with Piotr. He gets around Turn 1 Idler Source will now hit that detection point, although it's qualifying. Does not matter to come up towards Eau Rouge and ready on flat to the floor, trying to maintain the speed and momentum, put very little steering into the car so you're not hit with too much drag that will slow and hinder your momentum before you open that rear wing onto the Kemmel straight. 1 kilometre in distance of DRS power before you're on the brakes and trying to get the rotation round into Lacombe 5-6 and back around at turn 7. Again, that gravel trap comes at you. No runoff area to give you any sort of leeway. You're straight into the gravel. You'll be slowed down and your qualifying is done and dusted. He gets around Ravage now and back up towards No Name before he's flat to the floor towards the famous and lovely Puhon corner. Everybody loves this. You're flat to the floor trying to throw the car around this corner. It feels amazing to hold that throttle down and get the rotation in at the same time, but he does get halfway through his sector 2 now. Just a few trickier corners to come his way, surrounded by gravel, surrounded by grass. Anything that can hinder your progress, you need to keep it within those white lines and running almost maximum use of the track limits. There was Piot as he came out of turn 14 and now flat to the floor up towards Blanchimont and was 2 tenths up on his time currently, so he's looking to improve that to a 40.4. So those drivers that have retired ahead of him, are they going to be safe? Certainly they are. I don't see them in the bottom 4, but they are probably going to get jumped. Piot Stachulek now powers down towards the line, hits the checkered flag, and it's a 40.5, so lost a little bit of time there into the bus shop chicane in sector 3, but he's good enough for P6 so far.
It really is at the moment as they continue pushing on. Jack West going on the attack, and he needs to because he's the driver in 14th position as he makes his way through the Blanchimont, he makes his way through the fast Blanchimont part of the circuit, then into the bus stop chicane. Let's see what Jack West is going to manage on this lap. It is going to be his first appearance of the season. Can he get there into Q2? He can go to the top of the table, exactly the lap time he needed, right into safety.
Beautiful lap indeed, as Tony Hatala would have been next towards the line if it was not an invalidated lap for the Veloci Academy driver. Potentially under threat here now from drivers behind that are looking to jump ahead and push him down the order. Here goes Max Grospointner now towards the checkered flag to see if there's any improvements come his way and get out of that bottom 4 position. Yes, there is, up to P9, but is that safe as Liam Stephen goes up into P5? Across the line goes Campbell Adams with no improvement thus far. Here comes Nelson Alves for the Williams team as Philip Prejnera jumps up into P7. Nelson Alves for P10. Dropping down Mathis van Urban. Mathis van Urban could have retired too early and he may be out of this one. He's in 15th so far. One more improved time to come from Vassar or the likes of Reese Linton as he crosses the line. Reese Linton does it. He knocks Mathis van Urban out of qualifying 1. He will not be lining up in Q2, and there is your bottom 4. And Mathis took a risk, retired early, and will not be seeing the rest of qualifying.
Absolutely wild stuff. That was dramatic as we expected, and well, you needed a 0.5 to just basically be secure. You had drivers even with the low ends of 0.5s being eliminated. So it's Van Erven and then Campbell Adams, Ray Zimtia, Stefan Vasso and Danny Berezne, who we knew was going to be out due to his qualifying ban, but they are the 5 to fall in the first hurdle.
Yeah, surprising from Mathis van Urban. He's just took a gamble, took a risk, has not risked using another set of tyres, and it's not paid out at all. He's actually lost out, and he's out of qualifying now. He's going to start in that bottom 5, where Danny Berezne didn't even have the chance to produce a lap and to do anything about it. But we are now getting ready to get going for 15 minutes of qualifying 2. Let's see what sort of pace we can get here as everyone fights it out for the 10-driver showdown. The 12-minute showdown for pole position. This is where things get a little bit exciting now, Omer. I'm expecting to see soft tyre runs straight out of the gate. Drivers looking to get good bankers out there, all ready to set the pace down and to see where they're going to place themselves later on. Could we see used tyres straight here and now out of the gate? Or are they just going to wait it out a little bit longer? Or potentially even run the fresh tyres on their opening lap? Jack West and Philip Prejnera, movement at the McLaren garage. They're looking to take to the track straight away. No waiting around for those two.
No waiting around indeed. Straight out there. A great lap time when required for Jack West. I mean, he made it look easy at the end. Any mistake on that lap, and that would have been the elimination. So, Now it's going to be fascinating to see who are going to be the ones to progress into the top 10. If you thought Q1 was going to be very competitive, well, this is another level, because this is the session where possibly you could be seeing some of those top drivers be eliminated, some of the top teams who we are so used to seeing at the top of V-Series possibly get a driver out, because that is how competitive, that is how close the field is. So loads of drivers, Corey, going straight out there, because you need to have some good bank collapse to build upon across this session. If not, it puts you on the back foot and you could be out in Q2.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Declan Barrett is going to be the driver to lead us away with these first timed laps. You don't want to be on the back foot. You don't want to be under pressure. You want to be comfortable so you can get going into Q3 with a level head, knowing that you have a chance to strike for that pole position, or if not, be well within chance of being there for the end game, those final closing laps. If you're in P3, P4, and you can hold that all the way through the race, it gives you perfect opportunity to attack down that mighty long camel straight using DRS and potentially make a move and get a double overtake into Lacombe that could be the factor between race victory and P3 in the end. Either way, you'll be happy with a podium, but every driver will not settle for anything less than a win.
That's what they will want, of course, working with their team and engineers as well as they try and get themselves to the top of this race and this contest, help their championship as well in a big way. Right now we're just about to get to the drivers pushing on in this qualifying session when it's Q2, 13 minutes to go on the clock. It's going to be very fascinating to see how this one is going to conclude. We'll of course have the race taking place later. The race, of course, which will have plenty of unknowns. You don't even know what the weather's going to do. The weather can always play a part around a venue like this, but for now, it is dry conditions. It is great conditions. If you are pushing on right now, like Reese Linton, like also a few other drivers who are just beginning their lap times. In the pit lane, there is Klaffenbach right now, as well as Godendorp, West, Ranieri, Burmont, Angelo Diotencio, Stauchlik, and Judas Azilden. So a few drivers coming in the pit lane or staying in the pit lane, and then you've got the other half out there on the circuit on the attack.
Absolutely. Now I've just seen Big C giving it the big talk, should I say, to Vettel, saying Jarno got penalised. Yes, he certainly did, because you can't win a race in a pit lane. It's a game exploit. And I fully agree with him being penalised if we are talking about the pit lane victory. I fully agree with the penalty because that is a game exploit and he's found a way to win without actually crossing the line and doing full race distance. He's cut corners. So, you know what? Yeah, I agree with it. But nevertheless, we stay focused on qualifying 2 here. So keep that out of the chat and let's look at E-Series.
Yeah, why would you want to focus on PCF1 when we've got E-Series going on? We've got full qualifying for you, we've got the 50% race, we've got basically everything PCF1 has. And we've got the teams all competing against each other with some great prizes on the line as well, all made possible with SRC, who you can always experience excellence with as well. And a huge thank you to them for making this season possible. And making all of this is the reason why we are here on this Friday evening, all enjoying a bit of action and all enjoying a 1 minute 40.903 being set by the driver of Tony Hietala, as the rest of them all headed into the pit lane. He was the only driver to conclude that lap time and set something on the board.
Absolutely. Tony Hietala, everybody else got into the pits not happy with their laps or were on that used set of tyres from qualifying 1. Hietala will take us away with a 40.9 banker lap time. Now that gives me an indication that maybe, just maybe, they are used tyres, because we saw qualifying laps coming in as low as a 40.2 in qualifying 1 and he's done a 40.9 here in Q2, so that tells me that maybe they have already done a lap in qualifying 1, as we now see drivers that waited it out early on come to the tarmac to set their opening banker laps.
Indeed. That's going on at the moment for those drivers, and yeah, the lap times will go faster and quicker all the way through right till the dying moments of Q3 session, which will have the top 10 from this progress into And as I mentioned, you've got a point on offer for that pole position. Every single point is very handy when it comes to your championship, so all the teams will be doing the best they can, along with their drivers, to try get the best possible result from the qualifying and then give themselves a good opportunity in the race, which, yes, there might be a point available for pole, but even if you can get a second or a third, you're going to give yourself a good chance in the race, when we've seen plenty of times overtaking can be tricky, and you don't want to put yourself in those positions, Corey, where you're having to force overtakes, because like we've seen plenty of times this season, it can lead to a bit of contact.
Absolutely, and with how hard they need to push the car to even achieve the overtake, with the way the dirty air is, with how hard and difficult it is to achieve an overtake, contacts have become inevitable, and if you're forced into that situation, like you say, Omi, it's just a recipe for disaster. You're literally cooking up chaos.
Really are, and you do not want to be a part of it. You want to let it all happen around you, but the best thing you can do is try and avoid it and focus on the job at hand. And right now these drivers have lap times that they have to be setting. Ozildrim pushing on then, and he's the driver who is about to make his way up to Ruch and Radion. You've got Ranieri on the attack as well, so quite a few drivers going for it as they try and look to set a good bank lap in this session.
Absolutely, they're on board with Ulas Ozildrim, the Red Bull, who's done it well in the first opening round of the season, looking to potentially charge on again here in Spa-Francorchamps. Gets up to finish his sector one, gets going into Le Combs and gets back around ready to come back down. The elevation changes, comes up to Brussels, a corner that can cost you dear time. You're a bit too quick on the throttle, you get a bit of understeer, run wide. The curb on that outside is damaging and really unsettles the car, but he gets going out of no name now towards the lovely famous Pujon corner. I absolutely love it here. Keep it flat to the floor if you have the minerals to do so, and if the car will hold the grip and you don't run it wide and pick up that understeer and outside of those white lines. But he's dealt with it well as Ulas Ozildrim, a driver very, very competent behind the wheel of that Red Bull, a driver that can certainly produce some pole laps when he gets his head down and gets zoned in to produce those laps. He's heading up towards Blanchimont turn now, another fast corner, which if you can tuck into the slipstream and get that overspeed, you're looking at an overtake coming your way in bus stop chicane. We saw that happen last time out. Somebody has asked to show times. What times do you want me to show when only one person has set a lap? Oh, lap times, I apologise for that. Lap delta you want me to show, but there goes Ulas Ozildrim and goes ever quicker with a 40.3. It's not the fastest time we've seen in qualifying so far, but it is certainly going to be the fastest time here as Piot crosses the line, and so does Pascal Ranelli. Julian Klappenbach just lines up behind him as a Red Bull's teammate now. Kieran Gordondorp crosses the line to line up with an identical time to his teammate. Wow! You love to see that, a 40.330.
Yeah, it's so handy for a team to have a 1-2 as well. Get rid of that 1-2. To the top of the table goes Barry Bromand, 1 minute 40.242. But the identical time being set between the two Red Bulls. There's nothing between Ferrari and Red Bull when it comes to the championship standings as well. Only a single point between them, as we'll show you later on, as Angelo Di Ortenzio now joins his teammate on the front row. So it is Ferrari, then it is Red Bull. We've been here before, and we've got Klaffenbach doing a good job, a great job for RHE as well, who lead our points battle, and he's only finding himself 6,000ths off P4 at the moment. And right now they're all going to have to come up with some homework as well. They're all going to have to look at all of the data and try and analyze where they're losing out, because the Ferraris looking absolutely rapid, aren't they, right now?
Yeah, they certainly are. The Red Bulls were looking rapid over the Ferraris in Quali 1. They've reassessed the situation, found a little bit more grip, a little bit more time, looking at the data that's available to them, and now they've found the improved lap times on the banker times and gone 1 and 2. So there, the good teamwork between Barry Roman and Angelo Di Ortenzio to find the improved times that you see over those qualifying 1 attempts to now lead here in qualifying 2. But it's not over yet. They've still got a long way to go before they've secured that Q3 position. Unfortunately, your Season 5 champions, Veloce Academy, are having a stinker. 14 and 15 at the minute, and see themselves out of qualifying in this opening start of qualifying 2. So far, if they can't find any sort of improvement, they are tenths away, and Pascal is almost half a second off being even close to anybody else he can challenge. It's a disaster here for Veloci.
Yeah, absolutely. From those absolutely unbelievable highs and the amazing and crazy end that we had, Season 2 not going their way at the moment, and they are hoping that Tony Hietala and Pascal Ranieri can find something. Hietala is finding an improvement of 4.5 tenths of a second at the moment, but they are 14th and 15th. Ranieri will go and push, surely a mistake on the lap be that far off. Then we'll now get to see in a few moments' time what Tony Hietala can manage. Is it going to be the improvement? You need to be in the top 10. You'll want to be higher than that for safety. He's gonna abandon this one and completely put full focus on the ending of this session. So he's going to have to quickly come in, get a fresh set of boots on and go back out again. A high pressure moment about to come Veloci Academy's way as they try and get through into Q3.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, that's a lovely camera angle. You got to see the McLaren side on for a minute. I've never seen that happen before, down into the pit lanes. That's a new camera angle for me. That's a lovely one. But we are now waiting for the final laps to start to happen. The drivers have got themselves in. Now, is that Piot once again? He seems to be the first driver out. Yes, it is. The Alpine wasting no time at all to be the first driver out there to set laps, staying well and truly out of the traffic that could potentially come his way. 3 minutes to go in this qualifying 2 session, and only one driver looking to set the lap. Now, Philippe Pregenera, that's risky. That's very, very risky. We saw Matthijs van Erven, for Williams driver, in the previous qualifying session retire from P5 and end up getting dropped. And here Philippe Pregenera feels safe with a 40.3. Now that is, it's risky, it's bold, it's brave. It only takes 5 drivers to drop you out of it, and there are more than 5 drivers behind you. It's risky business, I've got to say, Omi.
Yeah, risky for a team running all the way down in 7th in the standings, and considering the prediction that we gave in terms of the point where we could see drivers eliminated by in Q1, and it was absolutely blown out of the window. It definitely is going to be quite close, and the entire field is pushing on behind, and when everyone else, including Pregenera's teammate Jack West, will be on the attack. Stouchilek, who qualified 2nd here in PCF2 a few weeks ago, is going to look to try to be a contender. So he was very good when it came to qualifying around this circuit. Let's see whether he can do it this time around for Alpine and execute it to perfection. Only Q2 for the moment, so his focus will be just getting a lap time that can safely get him through into the battle for pole position that will be coming up after this. You will try and set it up through this bus stop chicane, take the car as wide as possible, and then it is pedal to the floor as we are about to get going around this circuit.
Absolutely, the final laps are about to unfold. Everybody else on their out laps, all apart from Philippe Pregenera, who is feeling brave and is retired and sits there in the pits, waits for qualifying 3 and waits for the results to come his way to see if he will fall out of qualifying here. But we're on board with Piotr Stachilek as he comes up Eau Rouge and Radion, trying to minimise the rotation on the car and reduce that drag to maintain all that top speed before the rear wing is open to give him even more top speed down this kilometre-long Camel Straight. And now into Lecombe, really trying to attack those apexes and get the rotation in the car, because these are a set of turns that can catch you out and cost you in qualifying and can even cost you in the race. The outside curve though, coming out of turn 7, is dangerous if you hit it. Unsettles the car, sends you flying over the gravel, but for Piot he's dealt with it well and is now going in sector 2 very, very strongly up towards Pouhon now. With only 9 corners to go, is there an improvement to come his way that can see him well and truly safe into qualifying 3?
25 thousandths off in the first sector, which is realistically just your exit through La Source. Second sector is where you've got to improve, and it's where you've got to be going even quicker. Let's see, is it looking good? It is, because that's a 10th and a half, just over that at the moment for the driver in 8th position as he looks to secure himself into safety. We've got 6 seconds to go on the clock. Everyone out there, bar Philippe Pregenera, who has taken the risk, and he could be left vulnerable to fall out of this session into the bus stop chicane. For Piotr Stouchilek, he will try and get this one navigated. He's done all of the hard work. Now he can stand on the power and see what lap time he's going to get on the board. It's going to be to the top, 1 minute 40.201. Everyone must respond.
Yeah, absolutely. We're on board with Julian Clappenbach, the next driver to come towards the line. And he's down on his delta time currently as we are going towards Blanchimont corner. Can he find anything in the bus stop chicane that can help improve that lap time? Although he may be a little bit safer than Philip Frejneda, who has retired and has already dropped one position on one driver finishing a lap. And there's still 14 drivers, including Julian, to cross that line as he comes down towards the line, hits it. No improvement, stays exactly where he is. His teammate Reese Linton now to the line, improves up to P3. Next towards the line, we have the Aston Martin there. Liam Stevens stays in 10th. So Philip safe for now. But no, Jack West drops his teammate down, goes quicker than him until we see Red Bull driver Ulysses Yildirim go up into P2. Who's next to cross the line? The Mercedes driver, Tony Atala, puts Philip Frejneda on the cusp, on the danger zone in P10. Philip is out and gets jumped immediately there and will fall out of qualifying 2. There's no more for him in qualifying 3 as Kieran Gordon-Dorp has gone fastest so far. We'll have a look at Angelo Di Hortensio now as he comes to cross the line and goes ever quicker, but he's not pole time. I think that was Barry Burman to take the fastest time thus far.
McLaren out of that session. Late lap time required for Randy Ellie, and he delivers. That'll be satisfaction for Veloce. He was able to improve, and so was Tony Hietala, but it will be Jack West and Philip Frejneda out for McLaren. As I mentioned, Liam Stevens, who won on circuit in F2 earlier on a few weeks ago, had it taken away due to a penalty, but he's had some good pace around the circuit. Unfortunately, 13th will leave him with a lot of work to do. And then we have Max in 14th and Alves in 15th place. Those are going to be the 5 who will be eliminated, and it leaves us set with our top 10 who are going to do battle for pole position in a few moments time. 1 bonus point available for the driver who can take the fastest time, and it is going to be competitive, but so far it's looking like it could be our favourites heading into this could be Ferrari and Red Bull with the pace they've managed so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly looking dominant here in Spa-Francorchamps. Certainly the teams that are looking to challenge for the victory of the Grand Prix that is yet to come. We now have the 10-driver shootout for 12 minutes here in qualifying 3 to see where they will be starting in the Grand Prix. This is where things get interesting. Barry Burman looking strong for pole position. I've got to say, early prediction for me as we get going in Q3, it will be Barry Burman for pole. I think Angelo Di Hortensio could potentially make it that Ferrari 1-2, and then the Red Bulls, of course, with potentially Kian for P3. That's a curveball in the mix instead of Ulysses Yildirim, who I think will be 4th in qualifying here. But again, like you mentioned for Veloce Academy, they're having a stinker in the opening moments of qualifying 2, but have managed to get both drivers through in the end. And somebody in the chat is took a sigh of relief, I believe.
Yeah, sigh of relief luckily for Veloce as they were able to get through. I think there will be quite a lot though to be discussed for the drivers and the teams that went out in Q2 and Q1, but they won't have too much longer for that because we're going to be getting ready for the race as well after this. And Julian Claffenbach is currently pushing on, a champion of course of the F2 level. That was in season 37. He knows how to win. Can he do it for RAG, who currently lead the standings by 17 points as well? We'll dig more deeper into that later on in between our lobby restart. But it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers that are currently 2nd and 3rd on the leaderboard will be able to do. Reese Linton also looking to try push on. But are we going to get shocks, or will it be Ferrari versus Red Bull? Well, whichever way it goes, all I know, it is going to be close and it is going to be highly competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 10 drivers, 10 capable drivers that have well and truly got the ability to produce a pole lap. On their day, every dog has their day. It's a good expression that I quite like to say. And who's going to have their day here today? That's the question. I put my bet on Ferrari Esports. You know, they've been very, very strong the opening rounds of the season. And with the lineup now, seeing Angelo Di Hortensio take a seat with them to help Barry Burman along here. They seem like a power couple as well from round 2. So this could get interesting. But we are on board with Julian Clappenbach, the RAG driver, as RAG currently lead the championship standings. We get flat to the floor and away we go for his first opening lap time in qualifying 3. Up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. A beautiful set of corners, but can also prove deadly as we've seen through Spa's history. Now with that rear wing open, down the Kemmel straight we go to get that top speed. I mean, you will see that rev limiter hit in 8th gear. It is an eventuality coming down that Kemmel straight. You will reach maximum speed depending on what aerodynamic package you are running. But he's dealt with Sector 1 well, gets going into Sector 2. Around Brussels we go before he's got No Name and the lovely Pruhon corner. The fast double left-hander of Pruhon. I absolutely love those set of corners on me. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. Love every part of this circuit where the challenge is so high, especially at this part of this session where the drivers are having to extract absolutely everything. No longer about just trying to progress through. Now it's fighting for your grid spots. And Julian Klaffenbach, well, he'll make his way through this third sector in a couple of moments' time when he gets his foot to the floor, momentarily dipping a tyre into the gravel for Klaffenbach. They will get time to respond later on. The Ferraris out of the way as they get ready and prepare to build up their flying run so far, as Klaffenbach will lead us into bus stop chicane. Let's see what he is going to be able to produce on this lap time. Sends it in, and that is drifting his way through the bus stop. Now it is going to be a quick run to the line, a 1 minute 41.189, so he'll need to go faster and faster definitely when it comes to our run. That will conclude this session later on.
Yeah, absolutely. The bus stop chicane was dreadful there for Klaffenbach. You saw the rear end completely off the ground when he came over that massive sausage curve. Just completely lifted the rear end of the car up and completely unsettled him. Lost a couple tenths there. Used tyre runs coming in now, as you see the 40 and 41 mark for Reese Linton. 41, where he didn't have that moment as Julian Klaffenbach did. But for Tony Atala, it's a 40.8, so faster. The fastest used tyre run we've seen thus far, especially for the likes of qualifying 2, as Kian Gordondorp sets a new tyre run, I can only assume so, with a 40.1, so 7 tenths clear thus far in qualifying. That opening banker lap proving crucial for the Red Bull team.
Let's see what his teammate can manage. So we've had one Red Bull across the line. Here's the other one. Ozildirim will go ahead of his teammate, so he'll move up into first position at the moment, a 1 minute 40.062. The Ferraris are out there making their way through. We'll have Angelo Diotentia first across the line. Then it will be Barry Burmond, and we'll get to see whether they will be anywhere near their rivals or what run they're deciding to do as well. Whether it's new, whether it's used, but it's currently Red Bull 1 and 2. There's an improvement coming in for Ranieri. That's the third fastest time. Let's see what the Ferraris will manage, along with Declan Barrett, who will also be pushing on at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely on board with Angelo D'Ortenzio as he's coming round the bus stop chicane now, flat to the floor. A little boost of DRS towards that checkered flag. Hits it, goes and separates himself and makes a Red Bull sandwich. And gets in between those two Red Bull drivers. So what can Barry Burman do, his teammate? Can he go ever quicker and set a new fastest time, get ahead of Ulysses Yildirim, as we saw the box for the Veloce Academy drive reset his lap. So into the pit lane he goes. Barry Burman goes ever quicker, 9 thousandths of a second separating him from Ulysses Yildirim. And for now it's Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari. Declan Barrett for FBR has jumped 1,000th quicker. Wow. Wow, alright. You know what, fair play. Declan Barrett, 1,000 faster than Kian Gordondorp. What a lap for the FBR driver. That's just come out of nowhere.
Yep, that absolutely came in. Declan Barrett finding the time. His lap time came in just before the Ferraris. That was really, really mega stuff on Declan Barrett, getting himself in the mix. And he's just got himself a great lap time, as we were looking at the Ferraris at the time. But you've got Barrett ahead of Kian Gordondorp. Then it's Ranieri in 6th. Then you've got Tony Hietala. Stouchelek is in 8th position. And then we find ourselves with the R8G drivers of Linton and Klaffenbach, all looking to go faster on a new set. But FRI are absolutely flying, and they will see where this final run will take them. But for now, P4, that is absolutely remarkable. But Ferrari at the front with Barry Burmond.
Yeah, good thing to point out that although Veloce Academy may seem like a community team, they're more regarded as an esports team So for FBR, they are the only community team that have made it into E-Series and have made it into this session's qualifying 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. Absolutely incredible stuff for them, as drivers now will make their way into the pit lane, and then they will find themselves all preparing for that important run to come, which is going to be when the circuit will be at its best and where 1 point will be on the line for pole position. Currently heading the way provisionally of Barry Beaumont, but I'm sure the Red Bull and maybe even Declan Barrett, judging by that lap, will definitely have something to say. Don't count anyone out in E-Series. We've got just under 4 minutes to go, so we will be able to bring you those runs in a few moments' time to see who will be taking pole position for our race that will be coming up here in round 4 at Spa.
Well, looking in the chat there, watermelon, mango, watermelon and banana. Do you know what, Harvey Cowan? Full agreement with you there, mate. That's probably the same choice I would have gone for. But then Will Gibson to inform me that V8 is a community team. Now, when I speak to Nathan Richards about it, he sort of like,
okay.
they are and they're not, they are and they're not. So I don't know where to place my opinion on this. Are they an esports team? Are they a community team? Now, I don't know. I'm in two minds, but it is Kian Gordondorf and Piot once again. Piot to be the first driver to the track every single time. Love that commitment to getting out there first and avoiding all that traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Will Gibson, you can go fight that one out with Mr. Nathan Richards. We all know who to blame for that one as well. Corey's just going by what Mr. Nathan Richards tells him as well. Okay, as you mentioned, Corey, we have Stouchilek out there on the circuit. He's always been the first one to come out there, just wants to impress us all before we turn your attention to some of our other big contenders in this session.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to stay on board with the driver who has brought us the first opening laps of every final runs in every qualifying section in Spa-Francorchamps. Piotr Stachulek has led us with qualifying 1 final runs, qualifying 2 final runs, and now we're qualifying 3 final runs. So he's looking to certainly get some screen time, and screen time has been granted to him. So for Piotr Stachulek, well and truly out of any sort of traffic, any sort of danger from impeding, he's looking to be the first driver to get us to the checkered flag.
Yeah, he wants to be the center of attention for 7 kilometers before we focus on anyone else. Yeah, great screen time. Great screen time for Alpine, and I'm sure the Alpine esports admin will be absolutely loving life as well. Getting their cars being viewed in the important part of the session. So here we go with Stouchilek. Let's see whether we're going to get a lap time to match, as he will bring his way out of bus stop and head towards La Source. It is foot to the floor, and this is the important lap as we get ready to set our grid here at Spa. Stouchilek taking the wide line. Sector 1 really just decided by your exit out of La Source, and then it's foot to the floor, and you're about to hit a Rouge and Radion.
Absolutely. Now, Piotr Stachulek trying to maintain all the momentum, minimise rotation in the car. You don't want to pick up too much aerodynamic drag to lose out on that top speed. You need speed to carry you down this straight. The slightest bit of drag will slow you down, and you'll watch your time delta slip away before your eyes. But he is 2/10 up as expected, being on the fresh tyres now. So certainly a massive improvement to come Piotr's way. It's just what sort of improvement shall we see? Is the Alpine driver going to get himself up there and potential strike for front row, second row even, as he has to sort of carry the team as Danny Berezne has served the qualifying ban following on from Mexico. The only Alpine driver to get going in qualifying, to produce some laps, and he's certainly done well to get himself going into qualifying 3, dispatched of Poohorn corners, and then gets going into 12 and 13. Some corners that can certainly catch you out. You need to stay away from those apexes until you're ready to exit 14 and get going, 13 even, and get going into Stavelon campus. He gets out now, out of the pole. Oh, I can't even read that. I'm not going to attempt to read that. That corner has a name. I can't read it. We go towards Blanchimont now, flat to the floor, trying to maintain all that momentum. Of course, you can pick up the drag and pick up a bit of understeer when the tyres start to degrade out into the Grand Prix. We're now into bus stop chicane, and for just one more burst of DRS to the checkered flag, Piotr Stachulek takes us away with the current non-fastest time, but it's good enough to get on that second row with a 40.121.
Okay, over to the Red Bulls. Let's see where they're going to be able to get to. Gerdendorp dropping down to 6. Can he find his improvement all the way to the top? He can. And that is going to be pole position at the moment. Is it going to be double delight for Red Bull? Let's find out. With Ozildurin making his way through, standing on the power. Can he get ahead of Berman? Can he get to the front row? He can go ahead of his teammate. We're into the 1 minute 39s. The Ferraris need to respond. And it's right now Angelo Di Ortenzio who is a 10th up. He'll need to find more though if he is to go for this pole position for Ferrari.
Absolutely, we're now going to see the RHG's Reese Linton up to P6. Julian Clafenbach now towards the line as there goes Declan Barrett up for P2 at 39.991. And he's in that Red Bull sandwich. But here goes Angelo Di Ortenzio up to P2. Drops Declan Barrett down. Now it's all for Barry Berman to gain the time. What can he do? Is it Paul? No, it's not. He falls short. It's only good enough for P2. And that will be Ulas Zildrim on pole position. And with a beautiful lap indeed, my prediction thrown out of the window. Ulas Zildrim proved me wrong. I expected him in P4, but it's Declan Barrett for FBR in P4 on that second row instead. What a beautiful lap for Zildrim. And Barry Berman just 15,000 short of that pole time.
We mentioned it would be close, and it absolutely was. Ozildurim beating Burmand to the 1 point for pole. It was Di Ortenzio in P3, and then it was Declan Barrett, one of the stars of the show, only 85 thousandths off P1, and then it was Gerdendorp, Klaffenbach, Stauchelek, Linton, and then Ranielli and Tony Hietala, the Veloce Academy drivers at the back end of this top 10. But wow, Declan Barrett, absolutely remarkable, and Ozildurim to take that pole position. Qualifying, I mean, it plays a huge part now on this game, so very, very important heading into the race. A race which I'm very, very interesting.
Absolutely. Now at the point of the lobby restart, and I made the mistake, you may have seen it on Twitter, in one of the earlier rounds of running us through a race start, which was actually a lobby restart. I'm not going to make that mistake again. We're straight back here in the comms booth, and now we're going to take a quick look at everything that we've been mentioning through this qualifying session. We'll take a quick little look at the previous results from Mexico, and then onto the standings so you can see what has helped R8G in the end to get them leading the championship as we get going into round 4. Here are the race results. Leo Lund in the end took the victory away from Alvaro Caraton. Caraton, after Stewart's reports, ended up finishing in P5, and with that has crucially helped Julian Klaffenbach and Yaris Krozen for R8G to secure that 2-3 finish, which has proved to be crucial as E-Series is heightened points. It's not your usual points finishes. It has helped R8G gain a gap over Ferrari Esports. As you can see, they had a disaster race last time out. Ricardo Benzone, the higher points finisher, only good enough for P9, and Lenny Pepinter only good enough for P12. Now, Ulas Zildrim, your pole sitter here in Belgium, got P4 though, scoring good points for Red Bull team. Alvaro Caraton, like I said, with Williams, it was Williams' best finish until the Stewarts had a look at the reports and got everybody falling down the order. It was Williams' best finish this season thus far, but they are still in a good position in P6 in the standings and not too far away from P4 or P3. Diego Zozo for FBR with Declan Barrett was 6 and 8 for Kian Gordon lined up 7th. His Red Bull teammate Ulas Zildrim was in 4th, like we mentioned. And Piotr Stachelek, who has done very well in qualifying this time out, give us quite a lot to watch here in qualifying, got in P10 with Otis Lawrence after a dramatic ending to Mexico last week. If you did watch it, I've got to say that. Had a bit of a dramatic ending. Falls down to P11. Matthijs van Erven in 13th, who made a big boo-boo here on out in qualifying, along with Philip Preschneider. Only finished 13th last time out. Gabor Santos, Simon Engel, Campbell Adams, Xander Van Deeken, Gregory Prisable, Victor Widler and Cameron Dowds finishing off the race results out in Mexico. But we'll now take a quick little look at the standings so you know where people are and what to expect going into this next race. R8G leading the way by 17 points. So they've reached a bit of a gap, although the heightened points for the Ferrari team can certainly help them take that back. They line themselves up just behind with 109 points, being very, very closely followed by Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing by 1 point, 108. See them third in the championship. Then a bit more of an open gap for Alpine Sim Racing on 85, closely followed by the community team of FBR. Doing very, very well with Declan Barrett here today. And who's done a very good qualifying session for FBR to get up there in P4. And I don't know, the race start is going to be crucial for FBR as they need to score points to try and get ever higher in the championship to challenge Red Bull, Ferrari and R8G. But they are well and truly within that striking distance. Again, it's heightened points here. And I think they go all the way down the order, all the way down the grid to the P20, if I'm not mistaken. P20 being only 1 point. Well, Williams line up in 6th, as we mentioned, 80 points. Best position they have been in for quite a while in E-Series, lining up in 6th position. McLaren Shadow having a bit of a stinker. And your Season 5 champions, Veloce Academy, 45 points. A big gap for them in the points order. You know, some drivers are looking to help their teams to get to that triple-digit point figure going out of round 4. But for the likes of Veloce Academy, future racing team of Venturi, I don't think it's going to happen for them.
Yeah, absolutely. As we prepare and get ready for this race, what is definitely going to be a very, very interesting race as well. The drivers just moving into the new lobby at the moment here at Spa for what will be a 22-lap race. And after one of the great qualifying, let's see whether we can get a race to match it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to get myself in the new lobby myself. But there you have the current standings. So it's interesting to see that R8G have, with a little bit of a change in the drivers than what they've ran in the first opening rounds, have managed to score back some crucial points. Joris Prozen isn't racing here today. It is Reese Linton lining up with Julian Klaffenbach. So let's see if Linton can help out Klaffenbach and R8G to maintain that lead of the standings. It's for Ferrari to score back some much needed points and retake the lead, as they have been leading, I believe, all the way through. So out of round 1 all the way to round 4 here and now, they were leading until R8G have managed to jump them with that beautiful final 2-3 finish in Mexico. So stewards proving crucial in the championship. The ending results, the official and unofficial results are proving crucial. And yeah, it's interesting. Oh man, I've got to say, I'm trying to get in the lobby. It's not letting me in the lobby. Come on, game. There we go. There we go. We're starting to load now.
Perfect. Perfect. We've got Corey in the game. We've got myself in the game. We're just getting the drivers all set up along with the grid as well. Yeah. We found ourselves, even the F2, I'll be honest, which I've been covering this season. Lots of races we're having to let the stewards decide rather than on the circuit as well. And, well, the driver in 3rd yesterday came as the winner provisionally due to the in-game penalties, which both might be removed. So you can keep an eye on socials if you would like to watch that championship. It's going to be very interesting, this E-Series race. There are lots of drivers with good form around the circuit in the past. So they'll look to try and translate that into a good result. But you've got lots of competitive drivers all just going for it in one incredible circuit. So it can usually lead to a few moments of brinkmanship. So it will be fascinating to watch for us how they all approach this.
Absolutely. Now, before we go any further, we're going to have a quick word from the people that have made all of this possible here in Season 6. And we are back. Of course, a huge thank you to Sim Racing Centre for sponsoring this Season 6 of PSGL E-Series. Without them, this wouldn't have happened. You can always go and check them out and use code PSGL as well, because I think you get like a 10% discount or something, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure there's a code you can use to get yourself a little bit of a discount if you want to grab yourself some spicy setups and strategies. They have setups for multiple games, not only the F1 game series. You can go on there for iRacing, Assetto Corsa, multiple sim racing, even Le Mans now. You can get Le Mans setups and strategies from there. And of course, SRC, you can always experience excellence. So be sure to check them out. And a huge thank you for them once again for sponsoring this season and going into E-Series. But for now, the drivers are getting themselves ready. But But before we go into the actual Grand Prix, I thought we would have gone into the Grand Prix by now, but things have slowed down a little bit. We are going to take a quick little look at the calendar for what is yet to come your way in E-Series. So now here we are for Round 4, Belgium, Spa-Francorchamps, one of the most famous tracks in Formula 1 history, alongside Great Britain. But of course, in Round 5, we head to Austria. For the first time in history, you will see a race run in reverse track layout. First time in history, in PSGL history, in E-Series history, we're driving backwards in Austria. So that is certainly going to be a spicy race. Certainly some unknown, unorthodox strategies. You don't even know where things are going to be. It's a real curveball in the calendar and can certainly catch out some drivers. It's going to be spicy, the reverse track layout on that. I've got to say, Omi, I'm very excited for that, and to see what could come that way before we have a week break and come back for another 6 rounds.
Yeah, one of the great calendars. So it's going to be quite interesting to watch and follow the season as well. It's going to be very competitive, as we've seen across the season so far, and it's going to lead to some great races to watch as well. And that's exactly what we're preparing for, a 22-lap interesting contest around this incredible venue. And we have always had some great races when it's come to E-Series, but just due to how the teams are competing against each other and all of the prizes that are on the line, it is such high stakes, it is so vital to execute the best result possible each round. So the teams will do absolutely everything to try and get themselves the win by the end of today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all to play for. 22 laps, and one of the longest lap times in the Formula 1 calendar. I think Baku think he's just a little bit slower overall. Well, they're about, yeah, I'd say they're about on par, would you? Azerbaijan and Spa for lap times. Even though the distances are completely different, in terms of lap time, I'd say they're about on par. But this is the longest Formula 1 calendar over distance on the Formula 1 circuit on the calendar. So it's certainly the longest race that we've got to produce. 22 laps, so reduced laps over what you'd see over the likes of Austria. That's going to be more than likely going for 40 laps. But yeah, it's interesting. I am still thinking about the Austria reverse track layout because it's only next week, and I was excited for this when I saw it. When I first opened the calendar going into round 1 and I saw that we were going backwards in Austria, I've been excited. So it's been 4 weeks, 5 weeks in the making. The anticipation keeps building for this reverse Austria Grand Prix. But yeah, I am excited to see what is to come. Now we are losing drivers in this lobby. I don't know what's going on.
We're getting a new lobby, so we had all of the fun of getting in this one. We're going to get in another one as well. So just a little bit of waiting, everybody, but that is absolutely okay considering we've got some race coming our way as well. As we currently are going to just get ourselves in the new lobby, and then we'll be all hopefully good to go in a few moments time. But yeah, just a little bit of waiting, but we should be all okay as well in a few moments time.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. So if we are, all 19 drivers are in the lobby. So well, we have 19 in the lobby. We're missing one. Me and you are in spectator mode because I just left and rejoined to see if it was a new lobby. Yeah, people are now leaving, I think. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on here, Roman. I'm going to have to check the Discord and find out what is happening here. If we are re-lobbying, drivers are starting to leave this session and the raced horse has left. So I think we are going to re-lobby. Something has happened. Some form of bug, some form of issue. I'm not entirely sure. So we are delayed just by a little bit longer. But don't go anywhere because things are still going to spice up. But for now, you can take another quick little look at the standings because I don't know what else to talk about. If there's anything on there that you missed, you can certainly catch up with it while we get this lobby restart underway. I'll just run us through all the graphics once again.
Indeed. And Liam Stevens, I think wasn't able to find himself getting in to getting himself into the grid thing to basically, and no names were appearing for him. So that way we cannot get the grid that we need for this contest. So It is, so it is quite the shame. So it is quite the shame, but we are having to have another lobby restart, and then we'll hopefully be able to get going with another host. I think this time being Matthias van Erven as well. It's always quite a lot of fun in terms of the game of who will be our host for today's race, and I think we've finally been able to find another one with the issues, unfortunately, that Liam Stevens is having in game as well. So we're just going to find ourselves getting in all the drivers, getting themselves into the lobby, and hopefully this will be the last time we have to do this, and it can be all focus and all eyes to the racing that is to come.
Absolutely. Omi, I've got to say, we've had a question in the chat. Would you rather be 7 foot tall or 4 foot small? I know this is a bit. I think I'd rather be small, mate. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I feel like being 7 foot tall would be an inconvenience. Like you're ducking under every single door frame. You wouldn't fit on a public. You wouldn't fit on a public bus. Like, do you know what I mean? I mean, if you're 4 foot tall, at least you can fit in places. You can still live about a daily life. I think I'd rather be 4 foot small, mate.
Yeah, in all honesty, if I was to ever go there and commentate at Imola, if anyone's seen Harry Benjamin and how his head is hitting the roof at Imola, then yeah, I definitely don't want to get any taller than that and get to 7 foot, because I will not be able to get in any commentary boxes, and it would be a complete nightmare. And considering I want to get in commentary boxes, I don't think it'll work well, and it wouldn't work well for daily life either. So yeah, I think I'll be 4 foot. I think I'll be 4 foot as well. I think we'll go with that one. I think we'll go with that one for the moment. I think that answers the question. But yeah, I don't want the hassle of having to be 7 foot tall and trying to fit in places personally.
Yeah, so I mean, it'd be such an inconvenience. I'd rather be small. At least you know you're gonna fit in everything. Like you could probably fit in a suitcase and go on holiday, for example, and all you'd have to pay is shipping. The opportunities are endless.
And literally, you can fit absolutely everywhere. And I mean, lots of people love being kids as well when they're younger. Well, I guess you can just literally be one for your entire life if you're small. You can fit everywhere. You can go to playgrounds. You can do what you want. You can basically live your life. You have full availability in terms of options as well. And well, it would definitely be quite a long track walk, I can imagine, around this circuit. But luckily, if you are short, I guess it will be a bit more easier. A lot less weight you're having to carry. Around 7 kilometers of Spa, I think it is fair to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. It's going to be so much easier to live your daily life. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen to you? You're going to need a step ladder to reach something. Do you know what I mean? Like that's your main worry. You get to an Asda, and when you see the little people try and jump to reach for the top shelf, and then the tall guy comes up behind you, and goes, "I'll get that for you." That's your worst fear. That's all you got to worry about being 4 foot tall. I think I'd be much rather small. But I think we are ready to rock and roll now. That countdown timer is starting to go down. The drivers are all in the lobby. The grid has been set. 22 laps of Spa-Francorchamps is about to head your way. And oh man, I'm excited for this one. I don't know about you.
Yeah, very excited, very excited. As we finish up the conversation, hopefully in the chat, about how tall everyone is, and instead focus on the drivers that we've got out there, on the circuit. Because we are about to go in, but yes, it is going to be very interesting. And I mean, another thing is you don't want to be 7 foot tall if you have to ever sit in a proper race car as well. That would not be a good idea. That would not be a good idea. Luckily with 4 foot, they can put in cushions, they can bring everything a bit more close, so they can manage that. But with 7 foot, you're not going to be able to get anything with it.
I feel like at 7 foot tall, the halo would be a bit useless. Your head would just be poking out of the top. If you were 7 foot tall.
You need a whole new car redesign. You need a whole car redesign.
You have to redesign a seating position. It'd be longer, so you could sort of be more into the car. Otherwise, your torso is just going to be too big. The overall car is going to be too high to accommodate your torso being 7 foot tall. It's crazy to even try and put that into perspective.
Yeah, quite crazy. The sitting position would be quite crazy. But anyway, as I love how we said that we'd put focus onto the circuit, and then I just brought heights once again up. But anyway, yes, let's put focus, because we are looking down in the pit lane at the moment. We've got cars on the grid, drivers organising setup, strategy, and all of that jazz, and we are preparing finally to go racing.
Absolutely. We had to go through an unfortunate re-lobby, look for a new host. The new host has been selected. All the drivers are in. They now get their setups reapplied. They now set their fuels, set their strategies. Now, we could potentially see the one-stop versus the two-stop here. As the lights get lit, we are 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. The grid is hot. The drivers are ready. It is all go, go, go for Ulysse Zildjian as he's instantly diving over to the right to cover off anything from the Ferraris behind. It's 2 by 2 and there's a send from the back there. I think that's Liam Stevens looking to make some positions. 3 cars. He's ended up jumping up there and had to drop back down those positions as the Veloci Academy boys retake their rightful place in the order. Looking back further down the field is side by side for Julian Claffenbach as he moves on through. It's now Pascal Renelle under attack by Reese Linton, who's looking to try and push a move on through, but can't seem to get an open door coming his way. He's now forced offensive from the McLaren Shadow driver is Tony Hitala as Jack West moves up into P10, or at least tries to, as we get going through into Le Cobb. And so far, Sector 1 with 3 wide coming down into Brussels and around the outside. Jack West is forced to go the long way around as he fights away for P9 on the track. This is getting interesting, but all this fighting has just allowed Ulysse Zildjian and Barry Berman to bridge a bit of a breathing space gap as all the scraps are further behind them.
Trying to break clear, everyone else on the attack and pushing on at the moment. You've got most of the drivers on those medium compound of tyres. You've got Matthias Van Erven, who's lost the place, he's down to 14th, along with Alves and Danny Beresne. They've all gone for the hard, so you've got 3 drivers on that white wall compound of tyre, and it's leading to some side-by-side in this middle sector as we now head into the final sector on this circuit. A very, very interesting start then, as we're now about to go down into Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, absolutely. Further back, we saw Reyes Imtiaz and Nelson Alves fighting it out, but now we could see team orders and a swap of drivers for Ventura Esports as they go side by side towards the bus stop chicane, and they do swap drivers, but at the risk of allowing Philip Freshnader to slip onto the inside, as he does get side by side with Reyes Imtiaz, but was slowed down by Stephen Vasso. Now Vasso moves over to try and cover the line and stop Philip from making 2 positions and help his teammate defend that P16. Reyes Imtiaz needs to hold that line and stop the McLaren Shadow driver from getting through, but Freshnader makes easy work of that one out of La Sauce, moves up into P16.
Absolutely, as we make our way down this straight, the Kemmel Straight on lap number 2 to try to see who can fight away by at the moment. The opening laps can play quite critical in terms of how this first part of the race goes, all the way till you get to the pit stop phase as they navigate their way through. And you've got right now Max trying to put some pressure on Reyes Imtiaz, and he's having a go up the inside into Bruxelles, so that was getting very, very close. As now we make our way through Jackie X, but at the front of the field, look at that, Ozildrin, 1 second to Burmont having to try and get back in, Diocentia 1 second to his teammate, so it is all right now for the top 3, just basically being separated at the moment. They are going to try and stick with each other. The DRS very, very important in this race, to try and just stick with your rival, to give yourself at least some possibilities come the pit stop phase.
Oh, bit of a moment there from Max Grosspointner and Reyes Imtiaz. Max was looking to get the move done as we came through second sector, but a bit of contact with him and the Ventura driver sees him fall back in line. Now has a run towards Blanchimont, goes for the outside line. Is the door open there? Sticks his nose in the door, but has to back out of it. It's not quite there, not entitled to racing space, as Reyes Imtiaz was well and truly closed the door off there and stopped Max from getting through. But now as we get going out of bus stop chicane, Max needs to reassess his situation and try a different game plan if he wants to get through the Ventura driver.
It's exactly the case at the moment, as here we go then, about to run back down the Kemmel Straight to look to try and see what these drivers are going to be able to do. These fantastic cars all completely being pushed around one of the great venues, as we've already talked you through across the qualifying session as well. And we're now looking to see whether anyone can try and fight their way by. I think that is Grosspointner in the background getting very, very close to the back, and then all the while you've got Danny Beresne trying to recover after that qualifying ban. He's one of the 3 drivers that are on the hard compound of tyres, along with the Williams. So they're all right now close together. A bit of a disaster of a start there for Campbell Adams, the driver who is very impressive, I have to say right now, in the F3 championship that is going on, PCF3. He's been impressing in that when it has come to the 2 races that he's done, and then unfortunately it wasn't the case for him yesterday as well in the contest there, but he's still an impressive driver to keep an eye on, possibly going to F2 in the future. So he's doing very, very well right now for the future racing team. He'll hope to by the end of today. Right now, though, in 20th, not going as per plan in this race.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep my eye on the back of the field here, Danny Berezne. I'm wondering when those hard tyres are going to crucially start to come into play, as the tyre degradation is abysmal in this game. We've mentioned it before, and he is running on the better compound, the better race compound, I'd like to say. Although the mediums are the faster tyre, they drop off too quick, and the hard compound tyre comes to play very, very quickly. As we see, Mathis Van Erven and Liam Stevens having a little squabble for position there. Liam Stevens is using, not Liam Stevens, Pascal Renelle is lost out position there. Liam Stevens just crucially stays ahead, and it's now for Mathis Van Erven to use those hard tyres to try and claw back some crucial time. He's lost a bit of time there to Liam Stevens ahead, so the gap's opened up a bit. Is he under threat now from Pascal Renelle from behind, as he now has to take a defensive line? Here comes the Veloce Academy driver, but all this has allowed Nelson Alves to get into the mix and help his teammate ahead of him.
Yeah, Alves thinking about the outside line, banging wheels there with Ranieri trying to keep his foot to the floor. Van Erven defends from Ranieri, who has nothing to fight with down the straight, and instead we see Alves get through to the Williams, 12th and 13th at the moment in this race, but that was quite tight as we were making our way towards Malmedy. Right now, though, our leader's pushing on through Pouon and about to get to the Faniot chicane and the conclusion of the second sector, and then about to go into the third as well. Declan Barrett maintaining position, the FBR man after that great qualifying, just controlling things at the moment. 7/10 of Angelo Di Ortenzio for the Ferrari second and third. You have a Zildjian in first. So for a lot of the drivers near the front, just maintaining places at the moment as you try and build upon what you can do from lap after lap, corner after corner, to see whether you can try and make some overtakes. But it'll be the pit stop phase, which we keep going on about, but that is where we have learned in this game. A lot of changes can come, and then straight away after that, it can usually all boil over. That's a move, and a tidy move as well, coming Berezne's way. He's getting past Reis Imtiaz.
Yeah, bus stop chicane done and dusted for Berezne. That's one more driver to pick up a position on after having that P20 start with that qualifying ban. He was not able to get up there in qualifying 3, but it was still quite interesting to see where the pace was. His teammate Piot running in 6th at the minute, did very, very well in qualifying. So it's for Piot now to try and score back some crucial points for the Alpine team.
It is indeed. They currently are fighting on at the moment. You've got Stefan Vasso, who is getting past Ranieri. A couple of laps to forget. Ranieri dropping backwards and backwards and backwards. That's the moment for him. His teammates still running in 10th, but Ranieri losing a couple of positions, and then Stefan Vasso has also been able to get by, as we mentioned as well. So Ranieri now with some work to do. The Veloce Academy man, Philip Freshenator, will be directly in behind. He's in 16th right now in the contest, and then you get to Danny Berezne as he tries to continue his road to recovery in this race.
You can just see the gap to the race leader there. You can see everybody's overall spacings. Now, it's not even 10 seconds from P1 down to P16, so undercut threat well and truly on the board for some drivers. Has Pascal got damage? I've not seen I've not seen it. I mean, you can sort of see the car there. No, it looks like he's still got both his end plates. So he's just struggling. Yeah, struggling. There's no visible damage, easy visible damage at least. Just running his own little pace at the moment. But there we see the first pit stops to come. Julian Klappenbach getting off those medium compounder tyres after just 5 laps.
Absolutely, we come into the pit lane, and that was late on the brakes. Well, Berezne didn't need to make that overtake because Freshenator was coming in. He didn't know that. He absolutely sent it in the bus stop, and Berezne getting used to making some overtakes. He got 5th position here in the F1 Esports Championship earlier on this year as Klappenbach and Freshenator get ready to rejoin. Campbell Adams, by the way, he just bolted early. He was running in 20th, so he was like, let's go different, let's pit super early on the hard compound of tyres. He's done basically that at the moment. There's Berezne picking up a couple of positions as Matthias Van Erven is going to send Tony Hietala out of the top 10. So Van Erven moving up to 10, and it's Hietala down to 11.
is safety car on? It should be reduced, as the man himself, Big C, has informed you so kindly. Yes, I mean, if we have safety cars turned off, that's just asking for chaos. But it's very rare you're going to see like slight damage and wing damage and VSCs caused by debris on the track. It's very rare that you'll see that in E-Series. You may potentially see the safety car. I'm not going to sit here and say you won't see a safety car, because of course you can't predict what happens in racing. It can literally turn on a dime in an instant. That's just racing. That is everything that every driver has signed up for and acknowledged every time they take to the track, that one corner could be race ending. That is racing at its purest form. So we can't predict that you won't see a safety car, but you know, it's yet to come. We see more pit stop strategies come though, where the likes of Ian Gordon, Piot, Jack West and Reese Linton all opting to change their tyres, potentially go on to the hards. Is this a one-stop strategy? That's what I want to know. That's the question I'm going to be asking and thinking about throughout this Grand Prix.
It'll be quite fascinating as lots find themselves coming in on the circuit. We've had one Williams, as I mentioned, get past Tony Atala. We could be about to see another one, as at the front of the field we've got a change of lead, and Barry Burman gets ahead of Ulasa Zildrim and takes P1 in the contest. Further back, Van Erven's got past Stevens, both Williams on the charge. You've got Van Erven up to 5th, Alves making a move at the same time, moving up to 7th, so some nice overtaking going on there. And, well, it's not going to be the moment that Klaffenbach would have wanted, because he's just lost 2 positions on the circuit, as Godendorf and Stouchlek have moved up to 14th and 15th, but they are leading that gaggle, leading the group that have made some pit stops.
I've got to say, hats off to Declan Barrett in FBI, the community team, still running in that train of the Red Bull and Ferrari sandwich. We had one Red Bull driver, Kean Gordon, on box, and he was running just behind Declan Barrett at the time. So optimal potential undercut strategy here for Kean Gordon to jump ahead of the drivers he was running with. This front field of drivers, there is now only 4 cars running strong with a 4.5 second gap to Mathis Van Erven, but I believe Mathis Van Erven has boxed. He's not boxed, sorry. Ah, interesting stuff. But again, it's a 4.5 second gap to P5 from P4. So Declan Barrett has done very, very well. All credit to him for FIR.
As you mentioned, has done very well indeed. As now we get to the pit stop phase, you can see plenty of them currently in Stead pit lane as we get ready to rejoin the road, and that is Zildrim just ahead at the moment of the Ferrari of Angelo Diotensi, then Declan Barrett as we get ready to rejoin the road. There's going to be Stouchlek who will be getting by, and we're also going to see Barrett lose out there to Klaffenbach. So Klaffenbach just ahead of Barrett, but it could be about to be a brawl down Kemmel Straight in a few moments time, because Zildrim is going to have Stouchlek in his mirrors, and Stouchlek using a bit of the battery here as he's going to try and get past, and you can see getting his elbows out was Zildrim as Red Bull try and maintain order on this circuit, and just about Zildrim will hang on because Stouchlek had to back out of it, and it's going to be the Red Bulls net 1 and 2 at the moment. Then it's Stouchlek, Diortensio ahead of Barrett, and Barrett got back ahead of Klaffenbach. That's vital.
Well, he showed you how powerful that undercut was for Kean Gordendorf. He was running P5. He's now net leader over his teammate Ulas Zildrim. Barry Berman running 1 lap longer on those medium tyres. He is going to try and keep those hards fresher for as long as possible and use them towards the end, but at what cost on position when he does eventually come out of the pits? All these fresh tyres burning away, getting faster and faster as they start to get up to temperature, while Barry Berman starts to lose time as his tyres slip away from him.
Absolutely. That's going to be the case at the moment for those drivers pushing on, but a big moment of brinkmanship there. Red Bull's playing it nicely to maintain track position.
Oh, Beresne's off.
Danny Beresne. Beresne going for a move, and he's going to find himself going off the road. Tony Atala coming into the pit lane, and a 10-second for Beresne, which you'll hope that can get removed post-race as well by the stewards.
Yeah, it seems like he was going for a move, maybe slight contact between himself and Atala. and eventually just wasn't able to slow the car down to get the rotation in. You know, he's late on the brakes, as late as possibly can be on the tyres that he's got so far. 8 laps running on the hards, and the tyre where he's certainly starting to mount up for Beresnay. So that 10-second he did take to the runoff, I'd say is an unfair penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Danny Beresnay, a vital thing also being mentioned, he's going to have to come in the pit lane, so he's going to lose the time anyway. So it's going to be an unfortunate scenario for Danny Beresnay, but he is going to find himself losing 10 seconds in the pit box. And, well, it was already going to be a tricky race, wasn't it? It was already going to be a tricky race from the back. It's just an exam question that has got harder and harder, and after overtaking at will, after some great overtakes at the bus stop, it will unfortunately, he will have to now hope for a safety car to come his way, because he's going to lose so much time.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, see, I was thinking that then, what Luke was saying. I don't know if it's going to serve it, with it being a corner cutting. I think that's going to be added on to the time. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. I know speeding in the pits is a servable offence. I don't know about corner cutting being a servable offence. Normally, you see 10 seconds served is by speeding in pit lanes. It's normally the most time you see the 10-second being slapped on a driver, but I don't think I've ever seen a 10-second served due to corner cutting. So with Luke there in the chat, I think I agree with that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens, but interesting stuff there. Stevens as coming into the pit lane. They're the next two to make their way as well into the pit lane as well at the moment, as the rest of them continue pushing on, and it is Red Bull out in front at the moment. You've got Barry Burman going out, going longer as well with his strategy. So are the Williams pair, along with Beresnay, who we've been talking about as well regarding that penalty. It will be vital. It will be vital. You'll be absolutely hoping and praying that that is not served in the pit lane. If it isn't served in the pit lane, then all will be okay, and you will be able to hopefully get that one removed as well once the stewards have a look at that one. But yes, we'll bring you that in a few moments time. Right now though, they're all running very closely, and Stouchelek went for a big moment, a very big moment as well. He went for the move up against Zilbin. It was well played by the two Red Bulls to maintain position. You've got Diotenti directly in behind as well. So interesting gaggle, and this is what we've been mentioning, Corey. Overtaking is tricky, so sometimes this is the moment where it can get feisty, when drivers try and force some overtakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that have already implemented their pit stop strategies, they're going to be looking and making overtakes. For the likes of Diotensio as well, Angelo needs to get up there and put the pressure on the Red Bulls. Piot is only withholding this Ferrari at this stage, but of course he's going to. He's fighting for his position, as we do see Barry Berman finally get off those medium compounded tyres, and this is where things are going to start to come alive. Now, I've got to agree with you on that one. The big Byron Hale advert goes very, very hard. I agree with that. That big, it could he made it any big? It's a big red sign on the Kemmel Straight. I mean, God, what a way to advertise yourself there, Byron. And again, contact Byron Hale for your own sponsor boards if you so want them, as these are done very well with the advertising. Barry Berman comes out of the pits and he's looking like he's going to be in P12 after going as long as possible. Now, I think he is repeating a strategy that he has done before, but Angelo Diotensio is under a bit of pressure now from Declan Barrett. Declan Barrett looking for the outside line into Lacombs, but it's not going to come his way, just making himself large in the Ferrari mirrors. Yeah,
the RAG is just switching places at the moment. It was vital though. Barry Burmond, a driver who took his first ever win in the F1 Esports Championship all the way back in 2022, driving for McLaren that day. Could it be another trip to the top step, this time with Ferrari, this time in E-Series? Will be fascinating to see for a driver with such good form around here. And unfortunately, it wasn't the result he would have wanted earlier on this year though, when the championship was called the F1 Sim Racing Championship, what it's known as now, where he got 15, did Burman, but he'll want to put that behind him and just focus on overtaking that we saw Beresnay doing, and we could be about to see it done in the exact same style as Jack Rest will be coming under pressure. It won't even really be a contest. Burman to the side, Burman ahead, and next up is going to be the RAG pair.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have the better tyres out of everybody on the grid until those front three decide to box and get off those high compounded tyres. So for Burman now, crucially trying to retake positions that he's lost out under strategy, well, has the tyres to do so. He doesn't want to scrub them though and use too much of that tyre life that he could potentially use in the final laps as he goes for a move into the source. Dives to the inside though on Julian Klaffenbach, and of course with those fresher tyres it's an easy move. He can just brake later, get on the throttle earlier, and these moves are coming very, very quickly for Barry Burman.
They are happening at a fast rate, and they need to, as he tries to get himself as a contender. Talking about getting yourself as a contender, Jack West, a former F2 champion, having his first appearance of the season and trying to get some big moments from this race, whereas highlights reel 100% as he tries to get ahead of Klappenbach.
Yeah, he was really bringing the pressure on then. And I don't know, Jack West, he's been okay, you know, qualifying. Did very well in qualifying in the race. He's kept his nose out of trouble. He's doing very well here from McLaren Shadow. Crucially, they need points. They do need to get some points. So 7th at the moment with a 19-point gap to Williams, and Williams are only 5 points away from 4th position. So even then, McLaren get a good points finish here. They can be in contention. They can get themselves up there.
And indeed, still time to go in this championship, but you don't want to leave yourself with a hard task later on. Meanwhile, another position is gained as Barry Brabant moves up. Next up is the FBR man of Declan Barrett. Into the pit lane we go with Nelson Alves as he gets that one slowed down. Liam Stevens taking a move as well on Philip Freshenader, so that is the driver now moving up to 14th position is the British driver. As Alves drops down, we'll have quite a bit of offset come this second phase of the race, where he'll be going on the attack. He'll of course have those medium compound of tyres to also aid him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm quite surprised I don't see Mr. Binham in the chat. He's normally very active in E-Series chat, always, you know, chatting away, talking wallop. But I'm quite surprised I've not seen too much of Mr. Binham today, as McLaren aren't doing too well. He should be here supporting his team. Where's he at? He normally shows his support for the McLaren Shadow boys, as Jack West has moved up into P10. Come on, your team are doing bits. Where you at?
Ah, well, Corey Brooks completely going for it there as well. Yeah, absolutely shocking stuff. Being called out there. Being called out. Okay. But on the circuit, let's see whether Western Freshenader can deliver the goods as well for McLaren Shadow today. And who else is going to be able to produce something? A driver that you'll look to is Burman, because he is about to go on the attack as well. It'll be very soon, it'll be very shortly, that he will be alongside one of the stars of today so far, Declan Barrett. Bits for FBR, but unfortunately, when you've got Barry Burman behind, there's nothing you can do at the moment, as the Burman Express continues as he moves up to 7th. The next diver up the road, Angelo Giotenti, will not fight it one bit, and then we'll be getting closer and closer with Burman to the race lead. Okay, Danny Berez's in the pit lane. We've been waiting for this answer. Let's see how this one's going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they're going to be on the medium tyres. They've got 8 laps to go. It's going to be the best tyre out of everybody. Now, they're going to come out at the back of the grid, no doubt, with the way that they've gone into the pits. So they need to retake all those positions and fight through the field. I think we see Philip Freshenader going for a 2-stop. He's boxed again. So trying to follow the same strategy as Beresne and Mathis van Erven. But Barry Burman now trying to close up crucially to his teammate, who Angelo Diartentio, putting a lot of pressure on Piotr Stachulek there as we come down the Camel Straight. Looks to the outside line. It is seeming to be the beneficial line because you're aided with the inside coming around the comms, but if you're not far enough ahead, as you come back around turn number 7, you'll lose that position or lose that chance once again. And there goes Diartentio moving out of the way of Barrowman. He has the pressure tyre, doesn't want to hinder his teammates' progress. They are going for the win here. But Danny Beresne has served it. Yeah, Pete. Yeah. Served that 10 seconds. Oh, yeah. Burman, look at that. All over the rear of Piotr Stachulek there coming around Pujon corner. The tyre difference is insane. And now look at that. Dives on through. Piotr sledding through. He's not fighting that one. He's saying, Barry Burman, no thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the pace difference he has. He'll battle it up against Angelo Di Ortenzio. But yeah, if you are a fan of Beresne and Alpine, it is not the sight that you would have wanted to see, where we have a situation of a 10 seconds being served in the pit lane rather than being applied later on in the race. So there's nothing the PSGL stewards can do about that one anymore, and it will have to just be whatever Beresny can come up with here in these final stages on that medium compound of tyre. Lap 14 out of 22. We are ticking our way back onto the 15th lap now. Matthias Van Urban making a overtake. He's managed to get past Stefan Basso. Basso drops down and Van Urban improves a place as they continue. Now the climb up a route of Radion and Burmond, you can already tell that he will be applying the pressure in a few moments time to the first Red Bull that is going to be in the park. Only 1 point between Ferrari and Red Bull when it comes to this championship. They're second and third, and they're all giving chase to R8GP, who are not having the race they would have wanted, as meanwhile Jack Rest loses the place and up goes Liam Stevens.
And now you can see the tyres for what is to come. Here goes Barry Berman to the inside there of Kian Gordondorp. Gordondorp's going to try and hold the outside line into Brussels, but to no avail. The grip difference is monumental for Barry Berman. Only running 4 laps so far on those hard compound tyres. He has absolutely masterclassed this strategy and has the tyres to do so. He's flying now, looking to take charge to the lead of the race, and I suspect will just bridge a gap on the tyre difference.
Indeed, and you know, the Red Bulls know how to defend, but there's nothing they can do at that moment in time. When Burmond came, he was absolutely parked. But now, keep an eye on Declan Barrett. He's trying to put some pressure on Angelo Di Ortenzio. So could it be another moment for F3 Artist? Closer and closer at the moment as he navigates his way through the Blanchimont corner and heads down into the bus stop chicane. All of them running very close together at the moment. No mistakes can be made. Meanwhile, you're going to get Nelson Alves trying to overtake as well further back, so that's happening. So it's all action here in this PSGL race around this circuit.
Yeah, it certainly is. And replying to... Oh, hold on. That was very strange. Just had a bit of a lag spike there. How strange, how strange. Has it come back? Because everything looks fine to me now. We just had a bit of a lag spike there for a brief reason. But we are now back running, and Barry Berman is still trying to close up that gap to Ulash Zildrim. But with 6 laps to go, there's still plenty of places to make opportunities.
Really is indeed, as we make our way through, and that's Alves just ahead of Hietala, Van Urban just ahead of Max Groscher Pointer as well. So it is all overtakes. All those drivers on those medium compound of tyres trying to fight their way by. And if you are Danny Resner, you're left fighting at the moment with Philip Preschenader, as these two running miles off at the moment. Campbell Adams on a new set of the medium compound of tyres. He's a further 15, very nearly 16 seconds off the pace as well, as we continue to tick down here in this race, in what has been definitely one of those interesting contests which still has a lot to be decided. Zildrim still ahead by 0.6 of a second. So now the pace starting to settling in, and Zildrim doing enough at the moment to stay ahead, and not the same offset that we've seen so far, with Burman able to just close it and completely pass.
Yeah, absolutely. Barry Berman not closing up like you're expecting to. Nathan Alves fighting away. But Julian Klappenbach there moves up to P11. My eyes are on Liam Stevens at the minute, who's looking to get a little bit close to the rear end of the R8G driver Reese Linton, and potentially sizing up a move. And there you see Angelo Di Ortenzio moving out of that hot air, crucially for engine cooling to maintain their top speed, because as you know, if the engine gets a bit too hot, you lose peak performance. So again, you see a lot of drivers moving off the racing line, moving out of the dirty air, moving out of the hot air, and crucially, it could pay dividends in the end. There goes Mathis Van Urban fighting away with Julian Klappenbach, makes the move. Julian Klappenbach starting to slip away on the tyres now. Just doesn't have the grip to fight, and he's just losing positions.
He is losing positions indeed, as Liam Stevens was getting super close, and they're all trying to attack right now. Reese Linton and Declan Barrett, so that's a close battle that is taking place at the moment. Zildrim having the answer up against Burman that time by, so it is not the foregone conclusion that lots may have thought. It is still to all be fought for, And remember, you've got a Red Bull in first, you've got a Red Bull in third, you've got Diotensio, it's Stouchlek in the way, so it's going to be a tricky one. It's going to be a tricky one to manage. But yeah, the battle that we expected between Ferrari Red Bull definitely taking place, with also Stouchlek capitalizing and going on the attack. Quite the opposite of what actually went on for him in the F2 Championship earlier a few weeks ago, where it was a good qualifying and then a dreadful race. So he'll be definitely delighted for the Alpine team that he's been able to get a good result and he's been able to get on the attack. Meanwhile, Liam Stevens closes in at a rapid rate to Reese Linton, who will defend to the inside, Stevens around the outside, and he'll pick his breaking point. And Linton not fighting that one. Stevens moving up and moving his way by, but now you've got to keep an eye on Nelson Alves, because I'm sure he'll want to also go on the attack. That is off Ranieri.
Yeah, absolutely. He's getting a little bit closer, coming out of the bus stop shade. He's going to send a move to the inside there on the medium compounded tyre. Having the pressure compound, just couldn't able to get that done into La Source. Has to fall back behind, reevaluate his situation as we get going with 4 laps to go here in Spa. It's been an interesting 18 laps thus far. Very difficult to overtake. There we see team orders, Nelson Alves and Mathis van Urban swap positions, and he will now have to put the pressure on and catch up to the Veloce Academy driver. Campbell Adams now taking the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So that's, it's not a, I don't know if you get a point for it. I don't think you get a point for it, but he's still taking it away from his rivals.
Romand to P1 in the contest there. Nothing that Zildjian could have done. Doing well there to just get close enough out of Aruda and Radium, and then able to move ahead was Barry Beaumont, so that's another lead for him. Yildirim in second. Gerdendorp 1.1 seconds off the pace, so it could be left to Red Bull and to Ferrari, but just one of them to fight it out if Red Bull find themselves losing out time. Will be fascinating to see, but now Beaumont's just trying to break clear and get this gap to a second and basically say goodbye for the rest of the race, as he has got that 1 second gap. He has gone on the attack, used some of the battery, and he was saving up all of the battery for this moment, and now he's absolutely pouncing.
Absolutely, Mathis van Urban crucially moving up another position. On Ranelli though, up to P10. Barry Berman using those tyres while he's got them and just bridging that gap. It was inevitable, it was going to happen. There was nothing that Ulas Zildjian could have done to defend it as we get going with 3 laps to go.
Do indeed. Cross the line we go, and let's see whether Alves can now finally find the moment to get by. Meanwhile, Beresny and Philip Freshenator continuing their scrap. That is 18th and 19th at the moment. We continue our attack through 1.8 seconds. It's the Red Bulls that are the ones close together, and they will try and beat Stouchlek and Diocentio at least to the flag. That is exactly what they will be hoping. Right, is Alves finally going to be able to get by? Ranieri will defend, and Alves is going to send a late lunge on the brakes. That is going to be wheel-to-wheel contact when they get together, and now Alves is going to be ahead to Ranieri. Tried to fight that one, but a late lunge for Alves. Didn't immediately get himself in position, but did a few meters later. Meanwhile, Van Urban basically pushing Jack West through these corners at the moment, as we're about to go into one of Corey's favourite part of the circuit, because we've learned that across today, into P1.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely set of corners. If you've got the minerals to keep your foot planted to the floor, even as these tyres start to degrade. This is what separates a racing driver from just a standard driver. If you are a racing driver, you are going to keep your foot pinned and pray that that car grips up and turns. If you're just classed as a standard driver, you're going to play it safe and ease off the throttle and let it coast through the corner. But I like to see the drivers that take the risks, that take the chances. And for Mathis van Urban, he's closing up out of Blanchemont now and looking to size up and move on Jack West.
Indeed, at the moment, let's see if we're going to get the moment. Van Urban around the outside of Jack West, who will defend that one for the moment, but outside line to the inside. A bit of contact once again as Jack West has to scrap it all out off the road there, and now he's getting his foot back to the floor. He's going to get the inside line, and the Williams still kept at bay. Could be a completely different story, because that's West out wide, and it's about to get really tasty down the Kemmel Straight.
Absolutely, Mathis van Urban's backed out of that one, falling behind and cannot risk any contact coming up out of Eau Rouge and Radion. cannot risk any unneeded damage as his teammate lines up behind him. Nelson Alves now could be potentially putting the pressure on his own teammate as both cars try to sneak up, and it's a 1-2. Look at that, one to the left and almost one to the right. But it will be Matthijs van Erven to prevail. Nelson Alves has to wait one more lap.
Does indeed. The wait will go on unless it is something audacious, unless it's something brilliant. When it comes to the middle sector, if he is to try and stick with his teammate, Alves will definitely be one of those drivers to watch near the end of the lap if he can find the moment. Talking about finding the moment, is this going to be the time for Stouchelek to possibly be unfortunately passed by Angelo Di Ortenzio, because Di Ortenzio is looking like a driver on the charge, looking like a driver wanting to get on with it as Stouchelek starts to fade away from Godendorp. Is this going to be the moment for Di Ortenzio to try and fight his way by? It'll be very fascinating to see as well whether the Ferrari driver can get ahead of the Alpine man who right now is running in 4th place as we're about to tick our way through and head on to the penultimate lap of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Crucially, this could be very important for Angelo Di Ortenzio. He needs to try and get on through now to try and get past Piot and help Ferrari with more points as they lost the championship lead to RHG. RHG 8th and 13th. Could once again lose that with Barry Berman's 4-second lead on the penultimate lap. He is very well and truly comfortable and has had an absolute masterclass strategy. There's nothing else you can say regarding Barry Berman's strategy here. He's played it out to perfection. Angelo Di Ortenzio now looking to potentially make a move on Piot. Piot's forced to move and try and force Kieran Godendorp into a defensive line and defensive posture, but he's still not come Angelo Di Ortenzio's way. We are keeping our eyes on board with this one because it is Di Ortenzio who's bringing the action and putting the pressure on the Alpine driver ahead. As Danny Beresne has had that qualifying ban and has not really moved out of the bottom 15. He's sat there in 17th at the minute. The only time he was up in any sort of higher position was when he was yet to box and everybody else behind him had already implemented their strategy. So disaster for Beresne. It's all for Piot to try and bring the points back to Alpine and fend off this charging Scarlet Red Ferrari behind him.
Barrett getting close to Di Ortenzio, who in turn was getting closer to P4-man Stouchelek at the moment. So those three drivers not separated by anything. Declan Barrett trying to stand on the power. You've got Liam Stevens there. This is going to be an absolutely extraordinary fight. Come the last lap of the race, is going to be really fascinating to see how this one's going to end. We had to wait for it with a lobby restart again and then again, and then we were finally able to get going, but it has absolutely been worth the wait, and we've got one more lap remaining here.
Matthijs van Erven to the outside into the bus stop chicane. Can he hold that line and fight on Reece Linton? Sorry to cut you off, Ormy, though, but he's just pulled out a masterful move and managed to slip on through. The outside became the inside, and through goes Matthijs van Erven.
Tidy stuff, exactly what he needed, as we'll now make our way through La Source and get the drag going up towards Ermud and Radion. Keep an eye on Declan Barrett for FBR. He has been such an interesting driver across today's event. He's also been going for it all the way through. Stouchelek's going to get a chance on Kieran Godendorp, but is this the moment for Declan Barrett to get through? He's right in the slipstream. He will have to go around the outside into Lecombe. Barrett is going to try and thread the needle. Is he going to be able to get there? It's a bit of side-by-side contact, but Di Ortenzio stays ahead.
Wow, beautiful racing there between the Ferrari and the FBR driver. Declan Barrett has certainly impressed here tonight for the community team of FBR. Angelo Di Ortenzio under some absolute mighty pressure from the FBR driver behind. He's been trying to get through on Di Ortenzio, but Barrett just can't find that open door. He's got one final opportunity, but don't count out Liam Stevens from behind, who's been waiting and patiently praying for an open door to come his way. These two fight it out. But Declan Barrett, he's only got one more chance, and that is in the bus stop chicane. If he can get a run going out of Blanchimont.
Gonna give himself a good opportunity. Here we go then. Angelo Di Ortenzio trying to stand on the power. You've got one Ferrari on his way to the win. You've got one possibly trying to take fourth position. Let's see whether he'll be able to get there. Van Oven is also arriving on the scene. The Ferrari, who won in Australia, will also win in round 4 at Spa. What a strategy there. It's going to be a great battle in the battle for third position. Stouchelek versus Godendorp. It's going to be a drag to the line between the two of them, and Godendorp's going to get it. Godendorp's going to get it as Stouchelek loses out to Di Ortenzio, who gets ahead. We promised you late drama, and there we go. It is Stouchelek who drops down, and Di Ortenzio improves as there was a bit of contact across the line between Godendorp and Stouchelek.
Gordondorp seemed to try and, Statulet was trying to make a move on Gordondorp there, it seemed, and there was contact between the two, which compromised their exit out of the bus stop chicane and allowed Hortensio to potentially get a move on, and Di Hortensio could have made P3 there, but it was only good enough for P4, crucially scoring back much needed points for Ferrari, who will hopefully now retake the lead of the championship once again. Barry Burman wins 2 races in E-Series this season and will do it strong for Ferrari. You have the Red Bull teams 2 and 3, double podium. A beautiful finish for them. Ulash Zildrim and Kian Gordondorp, and then Angelo Di Ortenzio in 4th. Piotr Stachelek, Declan Barrett for FBR, doing very, very well for that P6. Liam Stevens, Mathis Van Urban, Reese Linton and Pascal Ranelli doing your top 10. Going further down the order, Nelson Alves, Jack West, Tony Atala, Julian Klappenbach, Rez Intiez, Danny Beresne up into 16 in the end. Philip Prejnader, Max Grosspointner, Campbell Adams and Stephen Vassor finishing at your 20 drivers for round 4. Spa-Francorchamps and once again has not failed to disappoint in the end. Has not failed to bring any drama and controversy in that final lap. I was sure, I was just mentioning to you all before the race started, that the final lap or the penultimate lap is where all the action has started to come this way. And well, it certainly has. But we are now back to our commentator's corner while we see if the drivers would like to come for a quick little chat as we get going for a little interview.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to be able to get some interviews and speak with those drivers. Lots goes on a E-Series race like this, along with the qualifying that we had earlier on. But that was quite the interesting contest, as we promised you, delivered all the way till the final meters of the race, where it was not known who would stand on that third step of the podium. But that was remarkable to watch, brilliant to see, and a huge congratulations to Barry Burman, though. It was all chaos and action behind, but it was supreme at the front. Burman able to get the strategy to perfection and able to get himself to the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we are just patiently waiting to see if we're going to have anybody in for a quick little chat. But for now, that's been crucial for Ferrari to score back some much needed points following the disaster points finish last time out, only good enough for 9th and 12th. That's a 1 and a 4. Now this is all unofficial, as we saw from Mexico. The stewards' reports are proving crucial in the championship and the overall race finishes. So you saw Alvaro Carretón win on track last week. We had a word with him in the interview room as well, I'm pretty sure we did. But then, after steward reports, fell down to P5 and has cost Williams massive points in their championship. So again, this is all unofficial. We've yet to have the stewarding done, and we have seen some contacts, some side-by-side actions where things have not exactly gone the way you would want them to. So it's a bit unknown, a bit uncertain at the minute. But again, we'll just wait to see if anybody would like to have a chat. But I'd certainly like to have a chat with Barry Burman regarding that strategy that he has managed to pull out, because how long was he going on those mediums? 9, 10 laps? And then the hards just came out of nowhere. He had that grip, he had that pace, and he pushed on to win the race. That was fantastic stuff for Barry Burman.
It was absolutely brilliant. We mentioned it was a circuit where he's had prowess at before. Took his first win in F1 Esports all the way back in 2022. And he's continuing that. He's continuing that here in PSGL E-Series, doing it for Ferrari. Important points for them, as themselves and Red Bull close back in to RHG, who not the brilliant round that they would have wanted, considering how their season has gone so far. But there's going to be lots of swings. There's going to be lots of changes across this championship. You're going to get some teams moving forward, some teams moving back, and then it completely changing round to round. So it's going to be very interesting to follow. And I mean, Corey, the stewards, the stewards' decisions and everything being decided post-race just makes it a little bit even more confusing as well. There's always a bit of drama as well. So quite a lot to keep on top of, isn't there, here in E-Series?
Yeah, absolutely. The stewards reports, like you say, you saw the massive difference in the race finish. If you was with us last week, you would have knew the race finishing positions, if you remember, from last week on Friday. But now, as we get going into this round, the stewarding reports saw Leo Lund take the victory at R8G, get a 2-3, and crucially in the standings, it's helped them out massively. Now, we do have your race victor, Barry Berman, who is going to join us for an interview. So I'll get us over there into the interview room round about now. Barry Berman, thank you for joining us here, and crucially, a strategy that has paid absolute massive dividends to you. You went long on the mediums in that opening stint, boxed for the hards, and then had that tyre life to just push past and make the overtakes, and then the gap at the end, 5 seconds to the checkered flag between yourself and P2. Beautifully well run race, and you couldn't have asked for anything more, could you really?
Yeah, first of all, hello to you guys and hello to the people watching it. Yeah, I mean the race felt quite clean. And yeah, from lap 2, I was like, I wasn't really like trying to push, and then I saw Ulas absolutely pushing everything, and then I had to push a bit. And then obviously, I think he also destroyed his tires because he just pushed like crazy, and then I managed to pass him. And then, I mean, after that, we realized people just already pitted, so we have, no other option to go long. And yeah, obviously, I didn't really know if he can pass people because obviously in this game, from what we saw, undercut is usually the strat, and overtaking is just so hard. But yeah, I'm super happy that I could manage to do that. And yeah, looking forward to the next few races, and also GG's to the engineers and also my teammate, which did a really good job.
Yeah, crucially there, Angelo Di Hortensio is his second race here in E-Series for Ferrari, and another good finish for himself. So certainly a good addition to the Ferrari esports team, and he's helping you along in this championship massively.
Yeah. I mean, always happy to help the team with the championship, and yeah, I mean, just super happy with everything. Hopefully, Ferrari, if I'm racing the next one or not, hopefully we will continue this momentum.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. Lovely teamwork and great choreography between you both. And again, congratulations on another victory here in E-Series, and looking good for this season to go Ferrari's way. I'll pass you on to Omi for any questions from him, but again, thanks for joining us.
No worries
Yeah.
at all.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us, as Corey mentions. I'd love to know a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes down at Ferrari in terms of your in terms of the selection of who races each round. How do you guys all handle that? Just to give a bit of information to how it's all done behind the scenes for the viewers.
To be honest, if I want to be honest with you, I personally just waiting, for the manager or for like engineers to just tell me if I'm racing or not. They are the ones to choose. Obviously, they are asking the drivers first, and if we are happy to do the race, obviously we're gonna do it. I mean, usually we are happy to do it anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's not really obviously like something that is really hard to choose. I would say it's just they just choose who drives, and if everyone is happy, then those people are just gonna race.
Well, thank you very much, Barry, for joining us, and we hope to speak to you more in the commentary box this season.
No worries, no worries. Thank you, man. Have a good one.
And I think that is going to do us here for our interviews. We are not being joined by Ulas Zeldrim. He said he can't make it. And of course, Kian Gordondorf, not heard anything from him. So that will be us done and dusted for round 4. Thank you, Omi, for joining me here in this round. I know you've come in as Nathan can't make it, he's away, and watching, I think, a football game. So he's going to enjoy himself with his football game. Hopefully they win. And he comes back with a smile next week. But again, thank you for joining us. It's been fantastic. And of course, had all the drama brought to you by E-Series in the final lap as expected.
Yeah, absolutely. Some brilliant racing, as we've seen so many times in E-Series. And yes, Richie is out there watching a football game as well. And well, he sounded very confident earlier. I think it's fair to say as well in a group chat. So he seems very confident. So I guess you'll find out when he returns next week of how that went. But yes, it's been a pleasure to join you, Corey, and to watch this amazing race. And a huge thanks to all of the viewers as per normal and our sponsors at SRC.
Absolutely, and of course, thank you to SRC. And with them, you can always experience excellence. And we'll have one little word from them before we finally close off our stream. But from all, that is us all now done and dusted, and we'll see you same time next week for what has been my most anticipated round, the Austria Reverse Track Layout Grand Prix.